Hi guys, Jim Reese with Classic Performance Products, here with engineer Danny Nix. We're pretty excited to kind of review and go over some of our newest offerings in our fuel tanks, fuel lines, fittings, fuel pumps. I don't know, what else you see here, Danny? We have an awful lot of fuel-related products.
Got gas caps, got gas doors, hoses, like as you just mentioned, some of the different mounting configurations. We more or less tried to show about everything in every scenario. We're looking at aluminum fuel tanks. These are 1/8 inch thick aluminum, so they're pretty heavy gauge on the body of the tank itself, with 3/16 mounting flanges, which are really big, very strong.
So the hold, what is this? This looks like a large tank, so this is larger capacity than, say, an original tank?
So yes, these are going to be larger capacity for, I believe, in every application. I don't think there's anything we make smaller. They go up to 26 gallons, 29 gallons, up to 29 gallons in the biggest applications.
29 gallons is a lot. That's a lot of fuel.
That's an all-day drive for sure. And this one, I believe, this is a 21 in front of us.
It looks like about 21. Let me see. Let's measure it. No, it looks about 21.
So yeah, 21.
So this is kind of an average tank then, I would say. And it looks like it's all heliarc welded. It's a very beautiful looking fabricated tank.
So they're all handmade, CNC machined in pieces, but they're still doing the fabrication by hand when it comes to the final assembly. And there's a lot of cool features.
So this tank, when I'm looking at it, I see 3 different holes. Is that normal? I mean, what do we need a hole for, like a fuel tank sending unit? Where do you put fuel in? Explain a little bit more detail. How does this tank work?
So as you mentioned, there's 3 holes on the top of the tank. The hole nearest here with the double bolt pattern, 5 and 6 bolt, that's your sending unit for the fuel level. It's like
that's so you don't run out of fuel.
Yeah, keeps you from running out of fuel. So you have the 5 and 6 plug universal. It's more or less across the industry as a universal sending unit. It'll bolt into this.
And it'll work with different gauges, like aftermarket gauges, original gauges, that sort of stuff?
There's so many different sending units available. There's a selection for just about everything. So we covered everything original from all the earlier
So it sounds like this tank will kind of handle it no matter what you got.
Yep, so the sending unit, exactly, and that's the first hole number 1.
All right, great.
Moving to the other edge of the tank over here, you'll see this other hole with 6 bolt pattern, and that's for the fuel filler, because you got to put fuel in the tank. So we have different filler configurations here. We have the setup. This will take a hose connection, and this is the gas cap directly onto the tank. The tank itself is the same tank, but we can change out how you want to fill it in case you're unsure as you're building.
Oh, I get it. So that's kind of neat. So actually, the same tank, you have a variety of options without actually changing out the tank. So I'm guessing this is something that you would use a little trap door, and this is something that would probably be mounted flush to the surface of, say, your bed, if this is a bed mount tank?
Yeah, exactly. And this particular tank is a truck tank, so it's designed to just cap right into the bed floor. Or trap doors, which are in the center of the table over here, and a variety of finishes.
That's pretty slick. So what is this extra groove in there? So does it come with a cork gasket, or do I see an O-ring?
So yes, there's an O-ring. There's an O-ring groove here. O-rings are included with the fuel tank themselves, so a little hard to pick up. They're going to fit in the groove, which makes a really good seal. They're all fuel-safe O-rings. Really clean installation when it's done. It's not going to leak. Not going to give you any kind of problems. And the actual components themselves are designed to be somewhat universal, so they also include a cork gasket in the event you're going to custom install this on some other gas tank.
Then that explains 2 holes.
Right.
But we have 3.
So the 3rd hole is designed for the fuel pump to go in the tank. We have what we refer to as our fuel pump chassis. It's just a standard fuel pump chassis that takes a standard style fuel pump that goes in the tank. You cut this to length, the hoses are long. Set it up based on the tank that you put
together. Based on the depth, okay.
And your pump, because it's a combination of the pump.
So this looks more like a modern type fuel pump. So this is good for EFI, or?
Right, so we can run this in about anything you can imagine. Honestly, with the pump in the tank, we have regulators to adjust the pressure. So you can run EFI, you can run carburetors, you can run it however you need to do it with the pump in the tank. And there's a 4th hole. On the back side, there's also a 3/8 pipe thread where you can run an external fuel pump.
So it's actually going to accommodate external, internal, either type of fill system you want, any type of gauge setup. It sounds like it's a well thought out product that can kind of adjust itself to any car builder's need.
That was the plan, is to make something that works every time. And a lot of people change their mind midway through when they're building their project. They have one filler in mind, and then they get a really cool gas cap and they want to put it in the bed. The whole thing's thought through end to end.
What's this cute little thing?
This little piece over here, this is basically an adapter that you could put into an existing fuel tank if you wanted to add fuel injection. Maybe you bought our tank years ago and you didn't have the fuel injection set up on it, but you want to do that now. You can just cut a small hole in the tank and install it with the two little threaded plates that go underneath, and that mounts the standard fuel pump chassis.
So it kind of lets you save that investment you made years ago, even though now maybe you're putting an LS motor, an aftermarket throttle body EFI, or some sort of upgrade that now wants a pump chassis like this, but your existing tank doesn't accommodate it. So theoretically, we could just add this to an old tank and we'd have the same modern capabilities as this tank.
That's exactly what this is. It even has, mentioning adapting to an older tank, this really thick closed cell foam gasket that's in here. This will conform over the ribs of the tank if you needed to. So you could put this in just about anything. That foam will crush all the way down paper thin when it's fully tight, but if you had ribs, it'll stay tight and seal across.
So it doesn't have to be a fabricated tank like this with a flat surface. It can be a stamped steel tank. It has a little bit of ribs or something in it. It's going to accommodate that.
Exactly.
It sounds like somebody engineered that with multiple purposes in mind. I wonder who that was.
They did, yeah.
Okay.
I wonder who.
All right, nice. Okay.
And then let's just pretend that you were running an external fuel pump. And
Okay.
you're not going to run this fuel pump chassis,
All right.
which has got a supply, return, and a vent. You're going to say, where's my vent fitting? Where's my vent fitting? The tanks also include a block-off plate that has the vent fitting. So no fuel pump, you get a vent and an external.
So if I have a carbureted application, this tank will still work for me because I can just simply run that fuel line down there. I can fill this third hole that I wouldn't normally need if I wasn't running this pump, and just add the vent.
Yep, so it's all set, ready to go. Mechanical fuel pump on the motor.
So do you take credit for thinking that through as well?
I don't want to take credit for any of this, just know that it works well.
Now, when you buy a system like this, is this like I have to order this piece? I mean, all these items we're talking about, are they all sold separately, or what's actually included with a system when you buy it?
So there's complete kits you can buy. We actually sell complete conversion kits if you want to put fuel injection, LS motor, late model stuff in your vehicle. As a whole kit, we got everything that you're going to need all the way down to the fuel tank, and you can buy the fuel tank as a kit, configured the way you need it with the right size fuel pump, or you can buy pieces individually if that's what you want to do. If you just want to add fuel injection to an existing tank, you can buy just these components that you need.
I see the front of this table is littered with a whole lot of other stuff, hoses and fittings, and tell me a little bit about this other stuff we have here.
All fuel stuff that you see here is all fuel related. Stainless steel hoses, that's one option. These have an assembled hose end where you got to cut the hose on the stainless steel and then assemble it probably in a vise somewhere on the bench with some wrenches. Works well, all high pressure safe for your fuel injection setup. And then next to that we have some bulkhead fittings with some clamps that you can put on the frame if you want to make connections that way. It's a nice way to make a connection and mount the connection so it's not bouncing around out of the car. Primarily on the own stuff that we build here when we're R&Ding a new vehicle or a new product on a vehicle. We're going to use push lock hoses, which is just this rubber hose that's still good for in the neighborhood of 300 PSI. Very strong, very safe. These you can assemble on the car as you're going. It's super easy to just run the line down the car. When you get to the end, you pick out which hose end is the right for that situation, whether you need an angle or straight through. And you can connect these under the hood, under the car, under the fender, wherever you're working at. The push locks are super easy. Hands down, the easiest way to go. If you were going to ask me for my personal advice, I would do this.
I assume it's just like it says, push lock. You're essentially just pushing the hose in, the fitting into the hose, and it's locked in place?
Yes, exactly. It locks on. There's no external clamps. The clamps shouldn't be used. The fittings are tight just like they are. If you put a clamp on there and start compressing, then you're going to risk cutting a hose. I wouldn't do that. Just push them on. It's safe.
Again, well thought out. So, so most of is this a kit then? It comes with, I see all the hose and the fittings. That's kind of idea, a package that's like a vehicle in mind for installing something like this. It really comes with everything you need to do that.
It's everything you need except the mechanic doing the work.
Okay.
It's very, very complete kit.
Have you engineered that portion of it, or what?
It's coming soon. So it'll be a complete kit either with the push lock hose or with the stainless steel braided hose. They're both available as full kits. Another nice piece right next to the hose, almost missed this thing, is another fitting that you can install into any tank. And that's just a small little piece that we sell.
Why would we want to install a fitting in a tank?
Well, let's say that you've got an old carbureted tank and you're in an external pump and you want to put a return hose someplace, return line coming off the regulator.
Oh, I see that. It's needed often with the aftermarket EFI. So,
Yep.
okay.
So you drill a hole. It takes a 1/2-inch hole. You drill a hole in the tank. Try to get the chips out from drilling it. Do your best. All the pumps are going to have filter socks or filters somewhere, so there's very little risk of damage, but still clean the tank out.
Okay.
And then you tighten this fitting up. If you ever installed like a rib nut, now where you're going to put basically like a hollow rivet into the hole, you tighten the bolt down first. That's included into the kits on the bottom. Really goes on the top. You tighten it down. It makes the seal into the tank. It includes a rubber seal. And then you remove the bolt and you thread in your fitting.
So no special tools required. Sounds like a 1/2-inch drill, a couple of crescent wrenches, or
exactly
9/16 or whatever it needs, and no special rib nut tool or anything like that.
No.
If you're familiar with that. Okay.
No special tools needed. Goes in simple. I pressure tested these myself in the shop without the gasket at 120 psi, and there isn't any leaks.
Oh,
so not in a tank, because that'll blow the tank up, but still.
And an average system like this is like 58, 57?
Well, working PSI in the hoses would be 58, but where the fitting goes into the tank, this should be at atmospheric pressure.
Right.
You might have a small amount of vacuum.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing
works really
substantial. Yeah, it's very safe, very easy to install.
This seems like a very robust offering. It looks like very well made product, well designed, well thought out. I can't wait to get all this in the showroom and on display and work with some of this product in the R&D center. Please give us your feedback, ask questions, leave a comment below. Thanks again. It's Jim Reese, Danny Nix. Remember, www.classicperform.com. We're out of here.